You take out the Islamic Republic of Iran, the whole thing moves in the other
You
direction.
realise, Rudy, only 5% of the UK is Muslim, do you?
It doesn't matter. I mean, they have tremendous power. How many mayoralties do they have? I mean, a
They
large
have a few
number.
mayoralties,
The most
but this
significant.
idea, there's a lot of Americans. I'm increasingly concerned that a lot of you guys seem to have this idea that we're literally being overrun by Muslims. And I don't know where it's coming from. Because I
Well, your
live
prime
here.
minister,
I live
your
in
prime
London.
minister.
I don't get any feeling I'm being overrun by Muslims.
Well, when I was in London about a year and a half ago, and it seemed to me there were an awful lot of women with veils on that I'd never seen before. And you have debates over whether Sharia law should be respected. Of course, it shouldn't be respected. Sharia law is a cult of death. I mean, the Quran is a cult of death.
But Sharia law
Just
has
read
no
it.
legal standing in the UK.
Well, not according to a lot of reports that I read in different parts of England. It actually dominates. And Stearmer seems to be very, very affected by them politically. He seems to want to make them happy, make them contented. And certainly he doesn't seem to be trying to make them English, nor do the French seem to be trying to make them French. They're contrary to immigration and assimilation. They just do the immigration part, immigration, and then follow Muhammad. What did Muhammad tell them to do? Take over.
America's longest ally is falling, and the same forces bringing down the United Kingdom now have the United States directly in their crosshairs. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are exposing the willful blindness of the mainstream media. You just watched Piers Morgan, a British anchor, laugh in Rudy Giuliani's face for telling the truth. Giuliani looked him dead in the eye and said London is being transformed, that the Anglican Church is collapsing, that Sharia law is gaining ground, and that a future British monarch could be Muslim. Morgan's response: "It's only 5% of the population, dude." That is the same naive, suicidal denial we now see from the American left. They are gaslighting you while the West burns. While our oldest ally, Great Britain, surrenders its heritage without a fight, the radical Islamist goal of world domination has never been clearer. And make no mistake, America is next on the list. Over the past few years, we have watched Western nations bleed. France, the beheading of teacher Samuel Paty, the Nice church stabbing, multiple ISIS-inspired attacks that have turned Paris into a fortress. Australia, the Brisbane police shooting, the Sydney hostage crisis, Bondi Junction stabbings. A nation once safe now seeing homegrown terror again and again. And what does the American left do? While Europe and Australia suffer, the Democratic Party is actively welcoming the same terror-exporting ideology through open borders, weak prosecutors, and political cover for groups that chant death to America. Rudy Giuliani is not the villain here. He is the warning siren. Watch as we break down exactly why the UK is already lost and why the Democrats are inviting the same fate to your hometown.
To say that I'm joined now by Rudy Giuliani, the former New York mayor and lawyer to President Trump. Rudy, welcome back to Uncensored.
How are you, Piers?
I'm good. I missed you. You well?
I do. Me too. You're doing very well.
Thank you. Look,
We don't agree completely, but I really appreciate your ability to really put out both sides. I want to compliment you on what you did do Fuentes.
oh, thank you.
That was one of the best interviews I've ever seen, ever.
Oh, well, thank you.
Particularly after he basically got that interview from Tucker, where Tucker put him on his lap and was patting his head.
Well, I just think I
apart.
think the people like Fuentes, you've got to challenge them. That's the point. You can't
No,
give
and you
them a
did
free
it really
run.
well, and you did it without being nasty or.
Yeah.
You're like a good cross-examiner. I would have hired you as an assistant U.S. attorney.
Do you know what? I sometimes think I wish I'd been a lawyer, but that's for another life, Rudy.
Right,
Let's
right,
talk
right.
about Iran, Rudy. You've said,
Sure.
I think, that Trump is reasserting himself on the global stage. Do you still feel that a month in?
I do. And, I have to tell you, knowing him 40 years, I can tell you that his views on Iran go back long before all. I mean, in the 1980s, he's actually on record talking about it, but I can remember having conversations with him where we both felt, particularly after the Marines were hit in Lebanon, we wondered why Ronald Reagan didn't take him out. after taking the hostages, embarrassing the hell out of the United States, and then killing our Marines. I think this is like this should have happened like 35 years ago, and a lot of people would be alive today, and the world would be a lot better. But we can't live with nuclear weapons in the hands of an irrational regime. This is not Putin. This is not Xi Jinping. They're terrible people. They're very evil, but they're not irrational. They don't want to die. The Ayatollah and the people around him, they're actually displaying the fact that they do want to die. I mean, the Ayatollah knew he was going to get hit. He sat there, and I think he thought he was going to go up to paradise and find his 72 virgins. So this really fits in what my biggest hero used to say, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan used to say, mutually assured destruction is the way we kept this world together for a long, long time during the Cold War. But it's immoral because it rests on the fact that both sides have to have a rational leader. Mm. You get a crazy man in either spot, goodbye world. And we got a crazy man who wants to get nuclear weapons, has already killed thousands of Americans, chants every week that he wants death to America. I don't know how much more of a threat you have to have.
But given he's been replaced, it appears, by his son, although we haven't seen the son as supreme leader, and the son has now lost his father, his mother, his wife, and two of his kids reportedly, may even have died himself. We just don't know. But clearly the ideology hasn't died. The IRGC remain in place. And I just think, and General Kimmett just shared this concern, that if America was to now commit ground forces into Iran to try and get, for example, the enriched uranium, it could be one of the most dangerous operations American forces have ever engaged in. And if, as you say, you're dealing with unstable people who don't mind dying for their cause, does that not concern you, Rudy?
Of course it concerns me. I mean, when we lost our first soldier, you say to yourself, is it worth it? And now, what, 13? But the reality is, it worries me more that we have a world in which I mean, at one point, Iran was a substantial power in the Middle East. It looked like they had an empire across the northern part of the Middle East. I mean, they controlled Syria, they controlled Lebanon. They had 3 or 4 proxies that were extremely dangerous. I mean, Hezbollah was undefeatable at one point, that we thought. So to let them move back into that situation again puts the whole world in danger. Why do you think they shot that missile that went, what did it go, 2,000, 2,500 miles? They wanted to show Europe, you know, we can hit you at this point. And they've actually attacked the Emirates more than they have Israel.
Right.
Which has to tell you that their aim here is either totally irrational or it's to be the dominant power in the Middle East.
There's a third way you could look at it, which is it shows you they're actually being quite rational and quite cunning. They know they can't compete with America / Israel militarily. They can't compete with the military firepower in terms of just numbers. But when it comes to strangling the global economy by closing the Straits of Hormuz, and when it comes to attacking the Gulf states in the way they have, attacking refineries and tourist areas and so on, killing, for now, stone dead the business models of those states until this is over, that shows a lot of rationality, actually. It's a rational response to defending yourself when you can't do it purely with military firepower, isn't it? They've shown a cunning which appears to have been underestimated by America and Israel.
Well, I'm not sure it was. I mean, I think I always thought an action against Iran would be a major war. It's a country that's been building up militarily. In fact, I think had it been 2 or 3 years ago, it would have been even worse. We've deteriorated them a lot in the last 2 years. But I mean, the reality is that probably makes sense at the beginning, because that's what I thought. I thought they were doing this in order to get the Arab states to put pressure on the president to call a ceasefire.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's the opposite. European countries want a ceasefire, but they want, I mean, they would surrender if I declared war on them, and I'd be able to take them over. I mean, they're all a bunch of useless cowards. But
do you
the
really
Arab
believe
states-
that, Rudy?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, the prime minister in your
Starmer.
country said to say, I have people from England telling me you're going to be a Muslim country in 10 years. I mean, the Anglican Church, the Roman Catholic Church is bigger in England now than the Anglican Church, and Charles III might be the Muslim monarch of England. I mean, they're taking over, and they want to take over, and it's their aim, and Iran is the fuel behind that. You take out the Islamic Republic of Iran, the whole thing moves in the other direction.
You realise, Rudy, only 5% of the UK is Muslim, do you?
It doesn't matter. I mean, they have tremendous power. How many mayoralties do they have? I mean,
They have a few
number.
mayoralties, but this idea, there's a lot of Americans. I'm increasingly concerned that a lot of you guys seem to have this idea that we're literally being overrun by Muslims, and I don't know where it's coming from. Because I live here. I live in London. I don't get any feeling I'm being overrun by Muslims.
Well, I was in London about a year and a half ago, and it seemed to me there were an awful lot of women with veils on that I'd never seen before. And you have debates over whether Sharia law should be respected. Of course, it shouldn't be respected. Sharia law is a cult of death. I mean, the Quran is a cult of death.
But Sharia law has no legal standing in the UK.
Well, not according to a lot of reports that I read in different parts of England. It actually dominates. And Stearmer seems to be very, very affected by them politically. He seems to want to make them happy, make them contented. And certainly he doesn't seem to be trying to make them English, nor do the French seem to be trying to make them French. They're contrary to immigration and assimilation. They just do the immigration part, and then follow Muhammad. What did Muhammad tell them to do? Take over.
You're suggesting that all the millions of Muslims who live in the UK have a kind of radical mindset, and I would say back to you that that is simply not the case. All the evidence suggests that that is not the case.
I don't think they all have a radical mindset. In fact, the majority of them don't. I know Muslims in the United States.
Right.
I've studied the Quran.
You have about the same number of Muslims in the United States as we have here, and most of them have assimilated very well.
They're very, very silent. There's a very, very excessive, militaristic form of the Muslim religion, which is justifiable based on the literal words of the Quran. And then the rest of the Muslims are very silent. You rarely hear an objection to the horrible things that they do. And very often you hear a defense of it. It's very hard to get Muslims to stand up to the atrocities that they have, that they commit. And there's a defensiveness that's extraordinarily dangerous. Reminds you of a little of Germany. Certainly all of Germany weren't Nazis. They just were afraid, and they were defensive, and wouldn't stand up to it. That is a significant problem in the Muslim world, and it's beginning to change in the Arab countries. You also can't discount the fact that what you have going on between Iran, Persia, and the Saudi Arabian desert is a 1,500-year 2,000-year war between the Persians and the Arabs. I mean, they despise each other deep down. Now, what happened and why your theory that it was very rational doesn't work is because the Arab countries are now telling Trump, don't end this and leave them there. Because to leave them there is just to kick this down the road. If they're going to do this to Emirates now, if they get more powerful, they'll do even worse. So if I were the emir, I would be very much in favor of anything and everything that gets this theocracy over with. And I think it's possible to do it. I don't think they're as powerful as they appear to be. I think that we've done tremendous damage to them. God knows we don't know because most of the press and most of the reporting is very much against us. To suggest that they're winning this war like the Economist did is absurd. You're not winning a war when you've lost thousands and we've lost 13. I mean, it's absurd. And where you've taken more people out in the Emirates than you have in Israel. The reality is we don't know how much longer it has to go, and we don't know when they're going to break. But we have them going in that direction. And it's going to take an awful lot to get them back there again if we have some other president has to do it.
Well, Rudy, listen. There are many people that share your view about this. I have serious misgivings about this whole
I know you
war.
do, and you're entitled to. And I think it is a difficult war. Is always war is always very, very difficult, and it always should be debated.
But you know what? I will always allow people that have a completely different view to me to come on and air their views, as you've done, and I appreciate that. There are times in which I sit back and run through my head all of the things that you're saying. I don't think this is an obvious. That's why I hate people who describe themselves as interventionists or isolationists. You shouldn't be either. I mean, it really depends. It depends very much on how much danger is there to you. And I think, maybe we evaluate that danger differently. Yeah. Rudy, I've got to leave it there, but great to have you back on Sense. So thank you very much.
So here's the bottom line. Rudy Giuliani was right. Piers Morgan can hide behind percentages all he wants. Only 6% Muslim. But that 6% in the UK already controls entire council wards, dictates political speech, and has made London the self-proclaimed Londonistan. The British people are now strangers in their own capital. Police enforce blasphemy laws in all but name. And the same Democratic Party that mocks Rudy as a clown is importing the exact same voting blocks, the exact same unvetted migration, and the exact same cult of death ideology into the United States. France buried its teachers. Australia buried its shoppers. Britain buried its children in Manchester and on London Bridge. And now, under Biden and Harris, we have seen the rise of pro-Hamas mobs burning American flags outside our capital, while the White House stays silent. The radical Islamist goal is not coexistence. It is conquest. They told us. The Quran, as Giuliani correctly said, commands it. First comes immigration. Then comes intimidation. Then comes Sharia. The UK is the prototype. The European Union is the testing ground. And the United States, specifically under democratic leadership that prioritizes equity over security, is the final prize. So here is the question every American conservative must ask tonight. Will we be like Piers Morgan, dismissing the evidence until it is too late? Or will we be like Rudy Giuliani, willing to be called a clown for telling the hard truth before the next attack happens? Britain fell asleep. Australia is waking up. America still has time, but only if we reject the Democrats' open borders, blind to terror agenda. Because the enemy isn't coming. They are already here. And they are counting on you to laugh at the next Rudy Giuliani instead of listening to him. Subscribe. Stay vigilant. And God bless the United States of America.